So then the assessment say that's finished. So then we get into the grading evaluation phase. Oh, so I'm sorry, this is assessment. So now, this is what the students see. So the students see this article, okay? And this is me, so I haven't assessed this person yet. Okay, so basically, I would go over here, click on assess, and I would see the article on one side of the screen. I could move my screens around, and on the other side of the screen, I could see the assessment criteria. And then I look at the article, and I click, and then I can just scroll up and click and click and click and click. So this is what the students are actually doing. Seeing both at the same time. Okay, now, this is where the assessment phase in for the teacher comes in. Basically, if the mark is out of 80 for submission, and each student gives around a 60, then each student's going to receive a good mark for their assessment because it's all within a certain range of grades that each article has been given. So if everybody for one article, if 5 people gave this person a 60 out of 80, then each person of those 5 will get a really good mark for assessment because they all have around the same grade that they've given. But here, you've got very lax, fair, strict, and very strict. And all that does is, it says, okay, well, let's say that this mark out of 60 is the average of all the grades that were given for this article. Let's go from 65 to 55, so 5 above and 5 below, as being lax. So if you're within that 10-point grade, then you're going to get a good mark for assessment. Okay? And as we go to very strict, that range is lower. So you go from, it's 2.5. So here, it's 2.5 above and below, and here it's 5 above and below. And in between, it's in between. Yes?
Sorry, do you mind me interrupting? Do you actually know that that's a fact, that that's the number?
The graph is on the Moodle site.
Sorry?
The graph is on the Moodle site.
Okay, good.
We've studied this formula, we've studied the graphs, yes.
Actually, I think we spent too much time on this. And after we got the results, what I didn't realise, I'm not sure if you did, Mark, but you can actually go and change this setting after you see all the results.
Yes.
You can see all the results change.
Yeah.
And that was much easier to see that than try and understand the formula and the actual
problem is,
explanation.
students can fail by this, and if you're not able to explain to somebody the formula, the algorithm that's been used, then perhaps you shouldn't use it. But it seems to me that you could explain the algorithm. If students could fail, but you're unable as a teacher to explain why they failed, you say, well, Moodle worked it out.
That's right.
Well, it did.
Yes. Well, another thing also is they don't know this setting exists, so we didn't tell them about this setting. So
Yes, but from an ethical point of view, if
Right.
a student's going to
That's right.
fail, you have to justify it.
No, I hear you. And we did a lot of research on this. We actually went on the
a
Moodle
lot
site.
of reasons.
The Moodle site actually has the formula.
Yes, because that's quite new, because a few years ago, I don't think it did.
Yeah, it did.
Right.
But it's in there now. The formula's in there, and there's an example of the formula that's in there, and it shows you exactly what numbers get plugged in where, and then it gives you the graph as well, which shows you the lax versus strict.
Right.
So you can go in there and you can say, okay, the reason why you got 15 out of 20 is because your assessment of this didn't, or you're assessing your friend and you thought you gave a good mark, and we caught you.
Yeah.
But also, that's why we also gave only 20% for the assessment and 80% for the article. We wanted to have less influence on the assessment than on the article. We wanted them to focus on the article.
The 80, the 20, and the fair are the standard settings.
Yes.
If you're trying to catch someone who's overgrading, I think that works very well. I have, though, experienced where you have a group of 5, 4 of their buddies give each other great grades, and then there's one guy who's trying to be honest and gives a grade which is more realistic of 60%, when the rest of the 4 guys are giving themselves 80s and 90s.
Actually,
I wouldn't have no way.
actually, you know, in the,
So,
So the honest guy, team
we changed
Yeah.
the third workshop, didn't we? We changed them out of their groups, and they had to assess more articles just to see.
Good point, but we do go through the grades as well.
yeah, of course, I'm just asking, how do you,
Yeah.
It seems to me too that sometimes if you have, I mean, I've done peer assessment, and my best students are the most critical.
yeah.
And they hammer other students. And if they're really critical because they have high standards, they're going to be, in a sense, punished for that with a 20% grade, right?
But your point, I mean, we do go through the articles later on, we do see basically, I mean, we can't catch everything, obviously, but but as your point out, the students are much more strict than we are actually. And because they work so hard on this assessment criteria, they want to use it, and because they're using it from that point of view, they're not going to say, well, you've got really good graphs, and obviously it doesn't. Then, you know, they're aware of what's happening as well, and they're actually, because they worked hard on their own article, then they feel that they have that authority to also be strict on somebody else's.
Very quick, sorry. I may have misunderstood this a little bit. What happens if you have one student who is perhaps consistently grading higher than other students, but it's consistent, the order's still the same? So you had 3 articles, and 3 students who graded those 3 articles, all others said this is a 65, this is a 60, this is a 65. And there's another student who's given, say, 70, 65, 60. So it's the same order, but it's 5 off the average. Would they end up being penalised for that?
Well, it depends on the article, they're assessing the same article.
Yeah. By that formula, they would be technically outside the range you set.
The submission allocation for grading is based on 3 articles, so it takes the average of 3. So if there are more than 3 people, then what it does is it takes the average of those 3 and then, or it takes the average of what it finds the average, and then it looks at the 3 around that average, and they basically get the same grade, and then anything that lies outside of that.
So you're going to be penalised to be outside the average, even if you still have the same order.
The argument would be that they may be consistent, but they're consistently wrong.
Yeah.
So if they're not following the rubric is good enough.
The issue you're talking about severity of the judges and what that weighs in, you could take care of it if you did like a rational analysis with facets, because that takes in the people that look at it, what they've done to other places, and you know, bias is really clear to see on that, and you can get bias from Olympic judges and stuff. But for something like this, I think that the purpose is everybody's to raising the consciousness about, what they're doing themselves. I would think that these kind of standards, just like this, would be pretty good. I mean, you're right in that there might be an odd case of something that might be considered, not exactly fair, and someone else is talking about the ethics, but basically, if you're doing 80% of what they create and 20% of what they're trying to do in assessment, and they set up the rubrics themselves, and they initiated everything. So I don't think that too many participants would have much of a beef about it, or think about it as deeply as you are right now. But it can be. It is a research issue.
I just wanted to ask one, for example, some of the criteria, some of the criteria there for good opinions. What is a good opinion? And that's a very subjective criteria.
My opinion is a good opinion.
Yeah. Sorry, yeah.
No, it's not.
Mine more.
But you could also, I mean, if you wanted to get around that issue, what you could do is you could have a norming session within your class, and you could give 3 or 4 sample ones, have everybody grade it, and say, you should be, I mean, the average in this class is sort of like this. If you're around the average, you're grading fairly. If you're too kibishi, you need to lighten up. If you're too easy, you need to be more strict. And that can take care of that issue very quickly, I think.
The thing you've done already is good basis for doing a normative session. Here's things that we've got empirical data says that this is 40 and this is what a 65 looks like, just in general. And I would even do that after you let them do their own rubric to start with, and then say, look, here's one way to look at it. So
And the other point to that one too, you could say 95 times. And say, okay, let's really work on the article itself and give this little grade to the assessment, but still have some effort to the assessment. So that would take care of some of the issues. Yes.
Sorry to keep on asking questions, but when I used the workshop in 1.9,
Yes.
it was possible to give the teacher's assessment greater weight, and therefore, so you could, even if the students were being too kind, but one student was being accurate and giving a lower mark, because their mark was actually closer to the teacher's, they would be less likely to be penalised. In fact, they wouldn't, because the teacher's weight would have, the teacher's mark would have more weight than the teacher's.
That issue has also been raised in some things that we have talked in the past. Is that what makes the teacher
More
better assessment than the student would be?
because you're a teacher. I mean,
that's a good point, and I think it's valid, and I think but in Moodle 2, there is no.
You can't do that. Oh, okay.
There's no teacher weight.
Really? Okay.
That's been removed.
Right.
So this is Moodle 2.0.
2.1. The workshop in Moodle 1.9 was really cumbersome to use.
Yes. Right.
And this is really cleaned up and really,
Yes, it has.
really nice. It's gorgeous. This is. Okay, so this is an example of what the teacher sees now after they push the lax or a very strict button. So this is the grade that the students would have received based on, so this is some girl or some guy. This is their submission. This is, the number here is the grade that they received. Okay, and this is who gave that grade. We see this, really this is anonymous. The students don't see who assessed them. And then this is what they got total based on the averages. And then this person gave these people this grade, and this is what she got or he got out of 20. So this is the main person. This is the grade that they received for their submission, and this is the grade that they got for assessment based on the articles that they assessed. So this is student A, student B, student C, student D, student E, student F. So this is the articles that they looked at. This is the grades that they gave. This is the grade that they got out of 20 for the grades that they gave. Again, this here is the grades that they got from the submission, and this is the average. So this is the grade out of 80, and this is the grade out of 20.
So that person is like a more lax grader, but got kind of graded fairly severely.
So they're a good assessor, but
Yes.
they can't make it. So to speak.
They just didn't follow the rubric when they were creating the article.
Exactly. Okay, and then here, they are about to close the workshop. This will result in the calculated grade appearing in the grade book. Students may view their submissions and their submission assessments. And you just, this is where you close the workshop. And the students are now, can see the grades. Okay. And of course, you can always go back as a teacher and reopen, and then if you want to change it from very lax to strict, or you want to go through again and just make sure you can see everything, or make sure everything is still fair and how you've done things, and just one more check or whatever. Or maybe some student didn't have a chance to finish assessing and you want to give them a second chance to assess. You can open up the assessment thing again and then close it again.